Hello everyone, and thanks for watching our New Year's Day weather update. It's 2023 everyone. Happy New Year. Um so my thoughts about 2022 are that a lot of people had quite a bad year in 2022. It wasn't the best year for so many people. A lot of people that I know at least have had some quite troubling health problems or personal problems like the deaths of family members, etc. So I do hope that 2023 is a much better year for everyone. Um, all I'm going to say is that after a low, you always have a high. So I presume that 2023 will hopefully be a high year for many of us. Today we're just going through the weather from the models at weathercentral.d, this website right here. And also earlier we looked at the CFS midnight run from the 1st of January today. Right when the clock struck midnight, it started to come out. So, and that goes as far as Halloween. So we just went through that for fun. Of course, it's unreliable. It goes 10 months ahead. So just for a laugh, you can watch it and see what it's showing. See what it's showing for winter, spring, summer, and a part of autumn. It's looking really quite bleak. I'll just tell you that. A lot of things happen at the wrong time. That's a clue. Anyway, moving on. So that video right there. So we're going to weather, and we're going to full screen there. Start with the GFS and enable the hover. We'll go through then with low pressure in off the Atlantic, a bit dry towards the start of next week and tomorrow. Then we go forwards and we get more low pressure around midweek. Before, as I said before, we go into more of a colder spell, into the first weekend of the month, as low pressure from Greenland comes in, and we get a colder westerly winds, not desperately cold. A lot of areas will still see rain, but it's a colder scenario for a time. And then we go through more low pressure in off the Atlantic. In off the Atlantic, we go milder there into the 10th of January, and we stay very very zonal. Look at that flat westerly wind around this time, all the way from Newfoundland and Labrador and Nova Scotia, areas like that. And then we go into the middle of the month. Signs of high pressure developing around the Atlantic and Iceland. Low pressure into the North Sea. So we put a bit of a cold snap there around the middle of January. Going into the 15th of January. Interesting. We see signs of a Scandinavian high forming and trying to get the wind into the east. The air to the east isn't bitterly cold. There is some quite cold air into the Baltic Sea, but that would take a big easterly to shunt that into Ireland and the UK. So going forward then, we get quite a brisk easterly wind, but the source isn't that cold. It's coming from more of southeast Europe. We do get the -5 Celsius ice storm through at 850 HPA, but look, this warm air, this milder air is trying to come in, so that will probably clear through and get a bit of milder air. But there is a cold pool across Russia that we have to watch as this high pressure moves further northwards, and we bring that in. But we've quite a strong polar vortex still, and the high pressure might struggle to hold against it, put it that way. So we could break through westerly after this. If we could run this model if a few more hours, then we may go westerly. That's that done then. Going through into the ECMWF, we can see that we now the 12th is still updating, so I use the midnight run for now. Do a hover, and we just go through. We see again high pressure tomorrow, a bit higher in the pressure, so it'll be quite cold. There'll be ice tonight. So that's something to watch. And going through, we see westerly winds around midweek. Then again, that low pressure out of Greenland, bringing a bit cooler weather there. A bit of cooler weather there. Then we stay very westerly up to the middle of the month. But look, high pressure forming around Canada and the Atlantic. If that low pressure goes eastwards, which it probably will pull in the wind from the north. That's something to watch. So going into the icon then, icon run, hover. There we go. Also, going through into Monday, we see a brief bump in the ice bars, an area of high pressure, a bit colder as well. And then we see mild west and windy weather midweek, flat westerly winds, flat as a pancake. Look at those westerly winds in the Atlantic. So flat, as flat as a pancake. Going through, again, we go wet and windy on Thursday. Big area of low pressure forming there. And moving into Denmark. That's a right old storm there around Denmark on Friday. And going into Saturday and Sunday, yeah, the low from Greenland comes in, and we go quite interesting on the 8th of January. Get this little low pressure to our south. We put the H50 temperatures on. There's cold air on the northern side of that low. Not bitterly cold, but if we got some very, very heavy precipitation, that cause evaporative cooling. And what that does is it brings the cooler air from aloft down, and what happens is that it can cause a marginal snow event. What that means is what a marginal snow event is that the exact atmospheric conditions will really determine whether rain falls as wintry stuff or not, or if we get snow, full blown snow. That can be like temperature. Say if we have it's around 1 degree. 1 degree, you can get snow at 1 degree if it's heavy enough, and it can stick at 1 degree, even 2 degrees. It happened before. I got snow at 2 degrees and it stuck. That sort of thing. So, and also dew points, the temperature at which moisture condenses. That's also a big one. The dew point needs to be below freezing to have snow. Those sort of things. Anyway, so that's something to watch around the 8th of January. That goes through into the North Sea, and we go quite cold and zonal. The area of low pressure from Greenland, quite cooler around it. Going to the next, we have the arpège run. This is the French model. And then just going through a hover, going through again. We see a bit of a bump in the ice bars tomorrow, area of high pressure. And then we go through into the middle of the week. We bring up a long fetch southwesterly winds from the Azores. We go very mild. We go those upper air temperatures, 5 Celsius ISM through the country. Western windy as well. We stay that way through the first week of January. Then into the first weekend of January, same story. This low pressure out of Greenland tries to come in from the west. Then we go to the GEM, 6 hour intervals, and hover. There we go. So going into tomorrow, high pressure, followed by low pressure and rain for the rest of the week. Very mild as well, with those southwesterly winds. That little area of low pressure on Thursday gives us quite a soaking, and quite a storm as well. Look at that area of low pressure blowing up there. A cold front coming through right there. So that could be very, 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 very unsettled for Thursday. Then that clears away on Friday, bit drier, and then we go cooler and more unsettled over the first weekend of January. We stay with a northwesterly winds. The winds coming from Greenland and Iceland and the Norwegian Sea, so we go quite cold, as you can see from those temperatures. And then going on and on, we stay that way really. Low pressure in the Norwegian Sea, bringing the air in from Greenland. Maybe not cold enough for snow everywhere. I'd say that's highly unlikely. More likely, wintry showers across the country. A mix of rain, hail, sleet, snow, growlpool, hail and snow mix, that sort of thing. Now that's these models done. Things like the WRF and Harmoine don't show the conditions for Ireland, and also they don't really show it for they don't really run far out, so the harmonic only shows this sort of thing. Well, this shows Ireland, but you can only go up to 48 hours, so unless you're looking at a snow event trying to pinpoint the position of the precipitation, then there's not really much point in looking at that. And with the WRF, you can't even see the UK at all in this option. So these are the models done on this side. Now we're looking at the UKMO run, which is the UK Met run. There we go. Hover. Going through, then we see high pressure tomorrow, as I said, going through, low pressure from the Atlantic coming through, mild, wet, windy, same story. Before that, big area of low pressure comes in on Thursday, quite deep actually, because that storm it blows up into, should I say, on the 6th of January. And then, same story, that low pressure in from Greenland comes in, quite cool, wet, breezy sort of thing, bit wintry in the north, more low pressure in from the Atlantic waiting. Though, as I said, something we have to watch for is these low pressures, like this one, for example, trying anyway to go to the southeast, because these low pressures, right, they float along the jet stream, and that's a current of air found very high in the sky that airplanes fly. Sorry, should I say, this wind belt is found around the level where airplanes fly, and these low pressures go along them. And you can see the jet stream is heading into France on a northwest to southeast trajectory. And if that goes to France, we can see that on the northern side of the low, we get colder air, and that could come in and deliver a snow event. Just something to watch as the jet stream tries to go south, and the cold air from Greenland comes southwards. Just something to watch. And I was talking about it being cold and icy tonight, so I'm just gonna show you the ice warning that we have for tonight. So yeah, we got a fog and ice warning for Ireland. Icy stretches along with patches of freezing fog may lead to hazardous road conditions in some areas tonight and on Monday morning, tomorrow morning. Valid from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. And same warning tomorrow, also an ice warning for Northern Ireland from midnight to 11 a.m. on Monday. That's your New Year's Eve update. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you've had a lovely New Year. I'll see you tomorrow for another update. I hope you enjoyed it, and bye for now.